What's going on, everyone? It's General Tariel, your coach of the Charlotte Carbinks, bringing you the APA Season 6, Week 5 team build versus Carson and the Arizona Diamondstorms. Coming into Week 5, we are 1-3, and after getting that loss against the Commissioner, Coach Modicus, very unfortunate. He just did very well with his U-turn and Volt turn team. And after the game, I did realize that I could counter his Aurora Veil just by sending in Golurk with the Sandstorm, because Aurora Veil can't go up without the hail. I did not know this because I am very stupid when it comes to Generation 7, and some of the changes they make I'm not a big fan of, but I still need to get used to it, so I guess it's just a learning experience, even though I want to be doing better. So as of right now, we are 1-3 with a -3 differential. Not doing too bad, but I want to do a lot better than this. I want to go positive, so we need to start getting some wins under our belt, and then hopefully we can go from there. I really don't like losing, and at this point it's just getting really annoying. So hopefully we can beat Carson or Creeper Hugger. Coach of the Arizona Diamondstorms, he's doing 2-2 right now. He has made a lot of changes to his team since the original draft. I'll go over them when I name his roster, but he's doing pretty solid going 2-2. He has a -5 differential though, which is lower than ours, but Carson is a good battler. I think he just has been trying to find the right team as of late, and I'm pretty sure he's got that right now, and hopefully he does, because he used all his free agents, I believe. So hopefully Carson can do better this season, but hopefully we can take him on just as well. So looking at his roster, he's got his totem pick, Diancie, and then he's got his Mega Sharpedo, which he dropped Mega Sableye for in order to get this for a free agent. And do note that Mega Sharpedo can Mega whatever turn, so regular Sharpedo can get the speed boost, and then he Megas whichever turn he wants once he gets enough speed. And then he gets the monster from Generation 7, Tapu Bulu. Tapu Bulu, in my opinion, is overrated in the Draft League format. It can get walled pretty easily. Of course, once the answers are gone, it can sweep, but I still don't see Tapu Bulu as being that strong in the Draft League format as of OU laddering on Showdown. He's got his favorite Pokemon, Cresselia. Very bulky Pokemon that is just annoying. Easy to take care of if you just do it right with like Taunt and Status and Wall Breakers in order to take it on, but Cresselia can be annoying. And then you got the hard-hitting Entei, the kind of buff Dragon Flygon since it got Dragon Dance now. You got Nidoking, hard-hitting with Sheer Force. You got the bulky Vaporeon with Wish Passing and Heal Bell. You got Hitmonchan fighting Spinner. You got Rotom with the Grass and Volt coverage. And then he just picked up Noivern, which he's dropped. I don't remember what he dropped in order to get Noivern, but I can see why I picked Noivern since it does a decent amount to my team, which I'll go over this week. And then lastly, he picked up Kling Klang a week or two ago, which is a decent steel type. So going into the team build for Carson, it was very similar to Miticus in a way that he cannot take on special attacking Pokemon on our team. And the only way for him to do that is a Spadef Cress, which is most likely what's going to happen. But Cress is already bulky, so that was kind of easy to do. So for Cresselia, I just had it where defensive bulk with some Spadef. Cresselia is mainly just doesn't need to run too much special defense because my special offensive Pokemon, mainly Chandelure, can take this thing on no matter how much special defense investment it has. So Cresselia is mainly here just to take on the other things like such as Explode or Kieran Black when it goes Ice Beam. That's why I have a mix set here in order to take on Kieran Black between its special offensive moves and its physical and Outrage and Fusion Bolt. Cresselia is really bulky though, and we just need to take it down between either Toxicking it or getting a taunt off on it so it's forced to attack, and then we can wear it down from there. It does get a nice ability in Levitate, so this way that we can not actually hit it with spikes and such, and it just gets really annoying because it can even come in on like Earthquakes from Excadrill, even though he's already got Tapu Bulu, which weakens ground type moves, which was kind of interesting about his team. He does have things that benefit from the grassy terrain because they're weak to ground type moves, but then he has 4 immunities, 3 levitates, and a flying type, which is Kind of strange, but it's whatever works with Carson, I guess. Cresselia also just got that Moonblast in order to take on the Kieran Black. He's got I put on the Psychic just for overall stab. He could substitute that for something else, of course. And I have Thunder Wave so he can paralyze my offensive threats, which of course is what normally has been happening. If you see him from past games, mainly from Cloud. And next up I had Vaporeon. This thing was mainly just to take on some threats on my team. Vaporeon can easily be switched out for something else, but I feel like he needs some other form of defense, which he doesn't really have on the rest of his team members. His team changed from really bulky to hyper offense with his amount of free agencies and such. So I just see a Vaporeon with possible wish passing, toxic in order to take on things such as if I have a regen Reun on my takes on my Melodic. You can catch a toxic on my Chestnut if I want to switch into Vaporeon with Chestnut. Just a good status. And then Scald, of course, in case Vaporeon needs the attacking move, and it gets a potential burn against some of my physical Pokemon such as Excadrill and Kieran Black and Mega Pinsir. And the Wish Protect is just a combo in order for Vaporeon to easily get its health back, of course. And Protect is also very good for scouting certain moves that I might have for coverage in order to take on his Pokemon, Vaporeon, or what I predicted him to go into. And next up I have his Sharpedo. Sharpedo I definitely see coming because it can definitely do work to my team if I'm not careful. I'm expecting a substitute set, which he has been bringing these past few weeks, which is basically subs up his regular Sharpedo, and then he gets the +1 speed boost, and then he will Mega the following turn or the turn after, depending on how much speed he needs. And then I just have the following moves: Waterfall for the Water Stab to hit overall hard. Crunch, of course, is in order for that Dark Stab and for the power of Strong Jaw. And then I have Psychic Fangs. Psychic Fangs is in order to take on the Chestnut. Psychic Fangs can be subbed for Ice Fangs, but I just picked Psychic Fangs just because it does more damage, doesn't have the ability to miss like Ice Fangs, and it can break through any possible screens that I could bring with, say, Reuniclus. Sharpedo can definitely do work. If this thing got a form of attack raise, like Swords Dance or something of the sort, it would be a lot stronger and more scary, but I can easily take this thing on with two of my walls, which is pretty easy. So there's not too much to worry about, but Mega Sharpedo can easily be a late game sweeper. It's what he's done lately with it, and it's done pretty well for him. So I can see him using this well like around late game or to weaken for other Pokemon on his team. Next up we have Tapu Bulu. Carson has only brought Tapu Bulu once, and I do not blame him. I drafted Tapu Bulu in another league, and I have just free agented it for a Kartana, because Tapu Bulu I am not a fan of in Draft League. It is amazing on the ladder. Like, if people don't have an answer, it's over. Or if you get rid of like a Celesteela or a Skarmory, it's over. But that's the thing. It can get kind of walled by like a few fire types, some steel types, and flying types. So I'm just not as big as Tapu Bulu as some other people. Also because you have to work around the fact that you can't have a ground type necessarily, because the grassy terrain weakens the power of ground type moves. And also it gives some health regen to your opponent if they're on the ground. Sure, it helps your team, but it also helps their team. So I mean, in the end, Tapu Bulu still hits very hard, and I had to take certain precautions in order to take this thing on. I just packed Woodhammer because a Choice Band, Adamant Woodhammer does ridiculous damage, even to resistances. So you're like, that's hard. That's not even a resist. It looks like a neutral hit, just with that Grassy Surge and then that base 130 attack, Choice Band, stab. It's just so much to add up. It's ridiculous. Horn Leech for his health regen. I have Superpower in order for him to take on my Kieran Black, Excadrill, so on, anything that's weak to the fighting, because my team is kind of susceptibly weak to fighting coverage. And then I have Nature's Madness. This is just for him to get damage off on Chestnut in order for me not to do anything else. Even though if I am not a max defense Chestnut, this Woodhammer can do over 50%, which is kind of ridiculous. So Tapu Bulu will benefit him this game in my opinion, because it also limits the power of my Excadrill or an Earth Power from Kieran Black or an Earthquake from Mega Pinsir. So I see him bringing that just so he can cripple the the ground potential I have on my team. And it can do a decent amount to my team if he just takes out some of my defensive answer for this thing, because otherwise there is none anymore, and then he gets a kill, basically. That's how it works. And then moving on, I decided he would bring his new free agent for this week, Noivern. Once again, people are kind of noticing I have a special attack weakness for very strong hitting moves. If Noivern had more special attack like Drampa, this would be more of a problem. But I just picked a Choice Specs Noivern with the Frisk ability. Frisk is just so helpful. You get to see the item on the switch-in, so that's very good for him. I just have a Draco Meteor, Hurricane, U-Turn, and Dark Pulse. Draco Meteor, of course, for stab, take on Kyurem, and to hit any walls I have very hard. Hurricane hits Chestnut 4 times super effectively. Also takes on any other coverage I have on my team. U-Turn for the momentum, in order for me, if I'm scared of a, say, Noivern dropping a, sorry, I keep stuttering. Noivern dropping a Draco Meteor on my Kyurem Black, I'd be forced to switch out, because Noivern's got that nice speed that it can work around. Speaking of its speed stat, right down there I have its Modest over Timid. That's mainly because Noivern is only basically having to face Raichu if it has to worry about speed tiering. Which, I mean, Raichu could be actually a thing for his team, but he has Crest to easily eat anything from Raichu, since Raichu doesn't hit too hard. And then Cresselia can just heal up and stuff. So I just see him bringing Modest just so he can hit harder. He doesn't need that speed tier, it's not necessary, because honestly only Raichu outspeeds at that point, because my next highest is Mega Pinsir, and without Timid, Noivern can outspeed Mega Pinsir. And lastly, I have Nidoking. Once again, this shows that he has just a fully offensive team, and it's kind of scary, no lie. I don't know if he's going to bring all this offense, but it's very likely considering he doesn't have that many defensive options on his draft. So for Nidoking, I just got the stereotypical Life Orb Sheer Force set, which is going to be very helpful for him. It is possible he brings a Z move on Nidoking. If he does, it would either be the Shadow Inimzy. I can't even say it. Ghost Inimzy. Oh my god, I'm dumb. It's in order to boost the Shadow Ball to take on Reuniclus if I bring a special defensive answer like I have for 2 weeks, or a Gigavolt Havoc on Thunderbolt in order to take on the Milotic. But other than that, I just see a basic Life Orb set. He could bring a Choice Scarf set if he wants to, if he feels like I'm going to bring certain speeds. But I just see the Life Orb working overall for him, because once again, the Z move is just a one-time thing. And then Nidoking just lacks the offensive pressure it could have brought with the Life Orb. But Shadow Ball for the Reuniclus, Sludge Wave for overall stab, Thunderbolt for that Milotic, and Earth Power for the rest of his team. Of course, the Earth Power is weakened when he does have the Tapu Bulu with the Grassy Surge out, but once those turns end, he's free to click Earth Power, and it can do a decent amount to his team. But I do need to realize if Nidoking's out, I can send out things that are weak to the Earth Power, because I know I could live it because of the grassy terrain, if that's possible. So moving on to his team, I had to bring more defense than offense, but I also am very tired of not being very specific on capitalizing on my offense that I have, and it's very threatening. Last game I wanted to just do a lot more damage, but I didn't. I waited too long. I'm like, yeah, I can sweep at the end. I'm not weakening a team enough to where I can sweep at the end. I'm not making enough doubles on defense to where I pressure them out constantly. It's just stuff I need to do, and that's what I'm going to aim for this game. So starting off, I needed a defensive answer in order to take on the possible Entei that somewhat takes on Mega Sharpedo, and so on and so forth. So I, of course, went with the beautiful Milotic. I went with Katara again. Basic set. With the leftovers, Marvel Scale, of course. Any defensive boost with that Marvel Scale is always helpful. One day I'll bring competitive from the +2 off like a Defog or something like that, but not yet. So I have Ice Beam in order to take on Noivern, take on his Tapu Bulu on switch-in, take on Flygon. He's fairly weak to Ice-type moves, which is why he's got a nice Vaporeon in the back, but Vaporeon's also why I'm carrying Hidden Power Grass. Vaporeon can wall me and Toxic me. I am looking for a Marvel scale boost, but I don't want to deal with Toxic again on my Lodic. It's actually fairly annoying. So I brought Hidden Power Grass in order to do more damage to the Vaporeon. And also considering Vaporeon could be a Heal Bell set, that would be good to scout for, but in the end I just felt like Hidden Power Grass would be helpful. Toxic would have been helpful if he went Cresselia on my Lodic, but he knows he's risking a Toxic from that, so it's not really worth it. I also brought Hidden Power Grass in order to take on the Mega Sharpedo, because if Mega Sharpedo sets up a sub when I only have Scald and Ice Beam, then I can't break that Scald unless I put some special attack investment, which I'm not interested in. So I brought Hidden Power Grass, and that does half to a Mega Sharpedo, which is very helpful, and that way I can take that on easily, especially if I get the defensive boost in the Marvel scale from status. Scald for the overall stab and hopefully get him burned, and of course the recover so we can sustain, and hopefully my Lodic gets higher up in the MVP list because we want more than number 6. Returning this week, I have Chandelure. This week we're bringing a spec set. I am just going to put a hole in his team with Chandelure, and he knows that. He definitely knows that. He needs to have some form of answer to Chandelure. I don't know if he can bring one defensively. He's probably just sacking a Pokemon every time. But I brought a Spec Chandelure. I wanted to do Monus, but I held back and went with Timid because I wanted enough speed and Timid in order to outspeed Tapu Bulu max speed, just in case he's bringing the Stone Edge, and that way he hits my Chandelure, and I don't really want that to happen. So I just wanted to be aware of that. I brought Infiltrator over Flashfire. Once again, if that, Chandelure is going to die from any hit that Mega Sharpedo really goes for, so I could bring Flashfire, but I don't see him bring Ante this week, and I don't expect any other form of fire coverage for my team. So I'm just bringing Infiltrator in case something else on his team tries to set up a substitute, such as a Calm Mind, Cresselia, or something of the sort. Infiltrator is just always a helpful ability that Chandelure can bring. I'm mainly only going to be clicking Shadow Ball versus team because that's what does the most damage. If I can definitely predict what he's going to do, then that's when I can click some of these other moves. Flamethrower just to hit his team very hard, of course. For the stab, it destroys Tapu Bulu. It takes on some other things on his team, such as the Kling Klang, the Rotom-Mow. And then I also have Hidden Power Ice because his team is very ice weak, as we already noticed with Flygon and Noivern for that 4 times weakness. And then of course I have to bring the Energy Ball in order to take on the Vaporeon and the Mega Sharpedo, which is very straightforward, because if he does want to invest some Spidef into Vaporeon in order to take on Chandelure, then he could take 2 Shadow Balls most likely, but no matter what, a Spec Chandelure does a lot of damage, and I'm probably just clicking Shadow Ball even if he hard switches into Vaporeon, because he has to go for Wish that following turn in order to take on Vaporeon again, and I can either get a possible crit, or I'm just pressuring him even more and he's forced to go to Protect the following turn in order to get that Wish. And then next up, I needed another defensive answer to the Mega Sharpedo, and I have a almost fully defensive Chestnut. For the EVs, I have plenty of HP and defense in order to take on the Mega Sharpedo, and also in order to take on his physical strength and Flygon, and as well as Tapu Bulu. Tapu Bulu would benefit very much, or Chestnut would benefit very much from Tapu Bulu's Grassy Surge this game. And I am carrying the Payappa Berry. This is so if he has Psychic Fangs on the Mega Sharpedo, I can take that hit very easily. Otherwise, it will do around 50% to me. And then I can go for Seed Bomb. I mainly had to bring the berry just in case he already gets a sub up. That way, I can just get rid of the sub with Seed Bomb while eating the Psychic Fang twice, which is very important. I have Seed Bomb just for the coverage, and it will get boosted from the grassy terrain. I have Synthesis for health because once again I have to come in on Bulu and Sharpedo multiple times, most likely. Even though Sharpedo will only come at the end, that's another reason I need to keep Chestnut above the 80 percentile range in order to take on Mega Sharpedo if he does get up a sub, because the Payappa Berry into the Psychic Fangs, then we live perfectly fine, and then we're safe for the rest of the game. I am carrying Stone Edge just in case of the Entei or Noivern trying to come in on a possible grass type move. That way it would hit his team very hard. Noivern has a small chance of dying to Stone Edge with this attack investment, but that's after rocks, and I'm not even bringing rocks this week, as you can tell. So as long as Noivern gets a little weak, if it's a possible, like, say, Life Orb set, then that's something we can look forward to. Entei, I just want to go ahead and get weak if he brings it, even though I highly doubt. I just, in my opinion, had to bring Stone Edge just in case those are options for him. I could easily bring Taunt, so it could help me against some things on his team, but I feel like Stone Edge was easy because I want to get as much damage on that Noivern as possible if he tries to make a hard switch into it, because otherwise his only switch into Chestnut is really Cress, just to take it on for, of course, he has the Psychic coverage for it, and then otherwise. So if I bring in Chestnut, the first thing I'm doing is I'm clicking Toxic and I'm seeing what his answer is. Because if it is Noivern, then I'm getting Toxic damage off. That way that the Stone Edge will kill the following time he possibly goes into Noivern. Or I just click Toxic again and then I get the Crest the following time. So that's the idea behind Boozer and Chestnut. And once again, I said I am not messing around anymore, and I mean it. I'm getting damage off with Chandelure and other Pokemon on my team, and then I'm going to clean with Mega Pinsir, and I mean clean, because I can sweep once that Crest is at a low health with a +2 Adamant return. Sadly, I have to bring the Earthquake, and it will get weakened by that Blue if he brings it. So if he does bring that Diancie or the Kling Klang, then I have to make sure those guys are weakened if Grassy Surge is up, or else I won't be able to sweep, because then they'll be able to most likely live the Earthquake if I'm not Swords Dance up, or if they're not weak enough, and they can Diancie would for sure one-shot me right back. That's another thing I didn't mention it, but that Nidoking might be carrying rocks if he does bring all that offense instead of Diancie. So, because he needs to have it just pure the Kieran Black, the Chandelure, and the Mega Pinsir. It's like every week. I always expect my opponents to carry Stealth Rocks against me. But going back to this Mega Pinsir, I do speed tie after Mega with Mega Sharpedo if we both run a speed boosting nature. But since he can easily just get a speed boost from a regular form Sharpedo, I felt like there was no need in bringing a Jolly Mega Pinsir instead of bringing Adamant for more power, because a +2 quick attack on a Mega Pinsir can one-shot a Mega Sharpedo, which is important to know. And it just gives me a lot higher damage rolls that are very important. A +2 Mega Pinsir with return one-shots a max defense Vaporeon. It can take on Cresselia. It just does a lot of damage to his team. +2 quick attack will even one-shot the Noivern, which is very important because that's what outspeeds me. So Mega Pinsir can easily just take apart his team once I realize what his possible answers are for it on his team, whether that be the Diancie under Grassy Surge, or whether it be a max defense Chandelure, which I kind of highly doubt. So it'd be very easy for Mega Pinsir to sweep after a possible Swords Dance. So we just have to come in on the right timing, whether that be a possible Wish or Protect on a Vaporeon, or some other thing on his team, whether that be a not so effective hit. For the ability before Mega, I decided to go with Moxie just in case I can go ahead and get an attack boost and do some prior damage, because I don't need Bolt Breaker. I don't really do, even though he has a lot of Levitate, I'm not aiming to Earthquake those things that have Levitate. I'm really just aiming to hitting them with Return, because that's a lot stronger. And the Moxie, just gives me that helpful attack boost if I need it. And then moving on, I wanted to continue with the special attacking power. I was really close to bringing a Scarf X-Cloud for this, but I wanted to go Choice Specs. I did not want to go Scarf just because it lacks in damage with Choice Specs. If X-Cloud just had more special attack, he could easily run Scarf and it would be a tier 3 Pokemon, but since it only has that base 91 special attack, sadly I have to run Specs most likely on it. Even though I didn't really get around to using that Assault Vest last week, it wouldn't have done that much damage at all. So that's why this Choice Specs Boom Burst is kind of important. I'm also running Fire Blast in order to take on the Kling Klang, Ice Beam because of the 4-time weakness in Noivern and Flygon. And then I'm also carrying the Hidden Power Steel in case the Diancie is Spidef invested, which is a possibility in order to take on Chandelure and X-Cloud. So I am most likely either leading X-Cloud or Chandelure to start off the game versus Carson. And since I'm not carrying any form of Stealth Rocks this week, or any form of Hazard at all, and I'm just looking forward to start weakening his team immediately. I have enough speed in case he tries to speed creep with, like, say, Vaporeon or something else of a lower speed. And then I'm just fully investing in HP. This way I can take a hit from anything he wants to go into. Besides, of course, like a Tapu Bulu or something of the sort. Or a Draco Meteor from a Noivern. Depends if he's modest specs. It's like kind of a roll from that. So just small things. But either way, Exploud can come in, do a lot of damage to something, and if we don't kill it, we can most likely kill it the following turn, which is something we have to look forward to. I really want this HP investment, but I should also consider, I really want to consider speed creeping the Cresselia, but even though Cresselia has no legs, it is a base 85 speed still, which is kind of stupid, and Exploud can't really get around that, so that's not really what I was aiming for, so I had to go with a bulkier Exploud. So if he does go into Cresselia, and it is Spadef, he can work around Exploud, which is something we have to know. So I'm most likely not staying in if he goes Cresselia when I'm Exploud. Unless he is afraid I am max speed, then that's a problem for him, unless he aimed to speed creep Exploud. But moving on, I needed an answer to the special attacking again. And honestly, I'm tired of bringing this set on Reuniclus. I don't even want to do it anymore, but I have to. An Assault Vest Regenerator set once again. It's just such a pain for Reuniclus actually to get the Toxic and stuff on it once they realize that I'm just a regen set. Honestly, he can see my team until it's a regen set again if he knows how much damage Noivern does to my team. I'm bringing the Energy Ball for the Sharpedo and the Vaporeon, Psychic for overall stab, the Shadow Ball for Cresselia, of course, and once again, packing Hidden Power Steel, just in case that's especially defensive Diancie. Because it is a possibility, and then that would just be... it probably won't one-shot him with Reun for Hidden Power Steel on Diancie, but it will do a lot of damage, depending on how much investment he has. But Reuniclus is just going to give me a nice pivot, even though I don't want it to give it momentum. 1,000,000% if he has Noivern out, I am not switching. I am keeping whatever is in, and clicking an attack, because anything that has U-turn, I am just for now on believing that it's going to U-turn the first turn. That's just how I feel about it. Because I am, after last week with the Volt Switch and U-turn from Miticus, I am not about momentum anymore. It kind of upsets me at this point. I just lost in another league to more U-turn and stuff, so it's kind of biting me in the butt right now. So I don't want to give any momentum to my opponent anymore, that is for sure. Miticus, of course, was a specific difference than other teams with momentum because of his 4 Pokemon switch momentum, but hopefully we can keep the momentum in our favor this week and always be in a higher position than our opponent for Carson. And I want to get this win this week and hopefully move on from here. I'm tired of doing bad in this league because I'm just a competitive person and I prefer wins than losses, of course. My nickname in the Discord has no more L's. When I did that in Season 5, near the end of the season, I didn't lose. I didn't make playoffs just because of differential, but I didn't lose with the L's out of my name. So, gotta be superstitious, you know? Alright guys, that'll be it from me. You'll see the Battle vs. Carson tomorrow. Make sure to sub, like, share. Deuces.